Hello, I'm Mark Helm, and I'm here tonight with Ceci Abbot, and we're doing our level 4, our very first level 4, and we've been preparing for this for a long time, haven't we, Ceci?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So we've practiced, and we've had a lot of things happen, but here we are. So we're going to launch off into this. Maybe before while I get this thing set up, you could just give us a little bit about you and how you've come to be where you are in the Arcanum since you've marched through the first 4 levels.
I don't know if you'd say March. I was just invited to the Arcanum, I think, in March. And so it's taken me a few months to get to 4, which has been a long time, it seems, I'm sure, to a lot of people. But here I am. Everybody's been great. Mark's been great. All the the cohort's been great, very helpful, and provide lots of information. And so I've really enjoyed it so far. It's time to move along in the levels.
Well, that's good. And you're one of you're typical of the people that we have, where you have, life, and life has to take precedent over some other things, and you have to work around these things to look after what's important. So I commend you for that, and you get in here when you can, and you participate, and we enjoy having you.
Thank you.
So let's share the first screen. And can you see that?
Yep.
Why don't you just tell me what that is and what you want to accomplish with this?
That is my daughter and her horse GQ, and this was at their first actual show back in March. And I just wanted to capture the moment with her. She was very excited about the show and had a good time riding. So it turned out well, even though she didn't win any ribbons. She did great, and so did he. Well,
it's the first time too, and it really can be a big event, can't it?
Yeah.
She's been in horses for a long time?
Yeah, since he was 7, I guess she's been riding. So we just made the jump to buy this horse a few months ago. So it's a big deal.
Well, it looks great. It's and what are you going to do with this? What's the plan with this picture?
I was hoping on printing it and putting it on her wall.
I think if you're going to print it, probably you need to get a little bigger size. You're 1437 by 679.
Yeah.
Upsize it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's you've got everything in here. It's a little bit, I think you've got the motion going. I mean, I can tell which way the horse is moving. The tail is there. You've left the distance out here on the left-hand side. I don't know if we need all that distance or not.
Yeah. And some of the cohorts had mentioned, a few of them suggested cutting it off. And then a few thought it looked pretty nice with the extra space.
What do you think?
I like that too. I like the picture. I'm biased towards it. So.
Okay, but it's important that, it's your picture.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things that you have to be conscious of when you're asking for help on these pictures, is that you don't get steered away from what it was you were trying to do to start with.
Right. And that's easy to do.
Done. Get people wanting to flip it and turn it upside down and crop this and crop that and do this and do that to it. So it's important that, that's why I think it's important that you have some kind of an objective whenever you take the picture, that this is what I was trying to capture, and then you work towards making this picture what you wanted to capture rather than turning this picture into somebody else's vision of what it was you wanted to capture.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think that if you put it's a little bit flat, I think. Overall, I think we could probably put some stuff on that. Do you use Adobe Camera Raw?
No, I do not use Camera Raw.
Okay, so with Camera Raw, you get all the sliders that you get on the inside of Photoshop. You just don't have to go into Photoshop.
Right.
So
So you just opened it from within Photoshop, though, right?
I did, but it also, when I brought it out of, I downloaded it into Bridge and then brought it back into Photoshop. But when I come into Photoshop, it automatically opens it up in Adobe Camera Raw.
Okay.
And then it'll do it for both RAW and JPEGs. And then when you're in Photoshop, you can go back and open it up again. So, in effect, you can do your adjustments, go into Photoshop, make a crop or whatever else you want to do, and then come back again and adjust it again with this. But and this is pretty much, I think, you just watch your histogram and see where you are.
Yeah, I had re-edited it and posted it and darkened the background and brought out Brooke and the horse, and once I posted it, everybody thought the first one was better than the second one, so
Okay.
I came back with the first one.
So if you take the shadows out, see where we're not overexposed any place. That's where it breaks. Look at your blacks, you're all right. So we need to get, I need to get you going on having Adobe Camera Raw, because it's really a handy way to process your pictures. Do you use the Photoshop or use Lightroom?
I start in Lightroom and then I move over to Photoshop.
Okay.
But as you know, I'm not very strong in Photoshop yet.
It's just that I use Photoshop, and when I download them and open them up, they all open up in ACR. So I can do the adjustments to them, and then I can just say okay, and they go back into the folder.
Yeah.
And I can use the next one, or I can load. If I have a whole bunch of them, I was at I forget what it was, something in a hockey arena this week, and I shot a whole bunch of pictures, and it was under fluorescent lighting, and the lighting wasn't any good. But you can bring like 50 pictures in here, adjust the light balance on the first picture, and then just synchronize them all, and it'll just go down and do the whole thing and correct it.
So it does like a batch process?
Yeah, it does, and it does them very quickly, and no muss, no fuss.
That's good to know.
So it's, once you get a little bit, we'll get you set up in it and get you going on that background, that background, texture background, get that program working, and get you this one, and then you can start that workflow. By all means, if you're comfortable in Lightroom, stay in Lightroom and only come into Photoshop when you have to, because it's more, I think it's more difficult to, it is more difficult to try and learn those two programs at the same time. And you'll end up, it's like trying to learn German and Chinese at the same time.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel comfortable with, just get going on that.
All right. Well, I did buy the On One yesterday, so
okay. Well, that's another good
have that out there.
Now there are some, and this is just me, but I think it's important that you have. I'm not sure what this is.
I think that's sand down there by our feet that's coming up. He's kicking that up.
I would go in and take that out.
Okay.
The same as here.
Yeah, I was wondering about the areas on his fur that doesn't look like it's as smooth. Not where his muscles are, but like up behind her leg there. There's a long.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that too, because I saw. But it's just something that I think is important on your. If you were doing like a rodeo, where the horse is planning and the guy is going off, or a bull or something like that.
Right.
Then I think the sand and what's splashing around, if there's water, or if you're lucky enough that we got a rainstorm or something going on, that's important. But this just looks like looks like noise in there, and I just go through, and there's a little bit there.
Yeah, I see it.
And then it just cleans it up, and it's just something else that, I mean, maybe you wouldn't see it, but if you're going to get it printed, you got to be mindful that everything that's in that thing is going to be blown up clear.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that you do that. Have you sharpened this?
I think I did. It wasn't the sharpest image to begin with.
Okay. I'm not sure why I've got this thing in here. I'm not sure what that is. Anyways, let's go on here and look at what we could do in. You say you bought on one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's open layers. Control J. Windows extensions. Did you install it?
No, I just downloaded it last night.
Okay, when you install it, it will show up under this extensions.
Yep.
Under Windows.
Yep.
And we'll go into Perfect Effects. And then there's a couple things I like to do here. One is to, like you said, take a look at the fur, and especially in an animal like this, to see whether there's anything you can do there. Oops, a little too much. And then I like to go to the adjustment brushes, and it will let you do things like detail. So you take your brush, and the center circle is the hard part, and the outside circle is the feather part.
All right.
Opacity about 50%, 40%, something to start with, and then just brush in these areas. Can you see that bringing it out?
I cannot actually.
Okay, I'm gonna kick this up to 100% just to show you.
All right.
You see it there?
Oh yeah, I do see it there. Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I take it at start at 40, and then you can up it.
Yeah.
But it is making a subtle difference, and you don't want it to. I don't want to do that. I want to take this back to 40.
Is it kind of like clarity?
The clarity is sort of a quasi sharpening tool. It's not the same. Clarity is also universal, so it goes on the whole image.
Right.
Or this one you can do with the
Just with a brush.
and just brush it where you want to. You can get definitions in these.
Yeah.
And so it's something that you you might want to, and don't overdo it.
That's easy, isn't it?
Well, what you do is just hit spots. Don't be doing the whole thing, because first thing you know, you got the whole thing done, and you're saying to yourself, "Why did I do that?" So that kind of gets you a little more definition in the. And I think once you get using this brush, you'll see how much you can do with it, because you can go in and just do a little wee spot. I mean, if you just want to do his nostril, you can do his nostril.
Yeah.
Another thing that I like with it, and you have to remember when you're working with this to put a layer on. So every time you do it, put a layer on. If you don't, it'll go right over top of the last adjustment.
Okay.
You'll lose all the adjustment.
All
They
right.
have one here called Magic Eye. And what Magic Eye does is you see the difference?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, you can. Let me see the catch. Like,
Yeah.
a lot better.
And it's very handy. It's also handy for doing it. It will work on other places too if you want to make it a little bit later.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of harsh light kind of thing. You got to be careful you don't get carried away with it.
Right.
But it will
Yeah.
It is useful, but it does a beautiful job on the
On the eye.
on the eyes.
Yeah.
And I think that's important whenever you're looking at it. Then the other ones you can just go through and dynamic. Dynamic does a total all over, so you see how it brings the backgrounds up.
Yeah.
I don't like that, but it's just something to look at.
Yeah.
You know, once you get working on it, you can just come down through here and just try all of them.
Yeah.
And see which one you have that you like better. What do you want to do? I'm not sure why that background keeps popping up. These are all the sharpening ones.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this. I'm going to come out and close this. We're going to apply this. And then I'm going to just do another layer on here. And then I'm going to do a high pass sharpen. So filter, other, high pass. And I take it to, I don't take it for any more than 3. I've seen other people, I know Curtis.
Yeah, he was saying 10, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. To me, 10. That is really getting up there. And anyway, 2.5 would be plenty for me. Well, let's just do it at 10 and see what happens with the 10. So if I do 10 and I leave it I do it at near light.
That's strong.
Yeah, you see how sharp. You start to see glow around.
Yeah.
The edges.
Yeah.
You can bring that down by taking the opacity down.
Yeah.
And that takes it off, but it still is really sharp in the background there. Can you hear him?
I can.
Okay. Stop it. So I think that's about as far as you want to go.
Yeah.
And I think if we take the history here, take a picture, hopefully we can see some difference. So that's when you started out.
Yeah.
And that's after we ran it through.
Yeah. Looks good.
So we kind of get some background. It doesn't make it as flat as it was. So that's that one. And we'll just get out of here. Any questions on that?
No, those are good suggestions, good tools.
Okay, the next one is you have to explain this one to me.
So this was on spring break up in Nashville.
Okay.
And me and my daughter, there's a park called the Parthenon.
Okay.
Got a building that looks like the Parthenon, but it's just a big, long park. And all the kids from Vanderbilt just come out there and sit and play and, just goof off in this park. And I was just walking around taking pictures and goofing off, and these girls just happened to walk by, and I stopped and asked to take their picture. And, just one of those attempts at kind of street photography, I guess.
Okay.
Very different.
Very, very true.
I don't have any explanation as to why they were dressed like that. So
I'm not sure there would be an explanation. There are some things that some of the basic things that you have to watch for when you're doing this kind of shot. One is the background.
Yeah.
If you would have taken one step to the right, I'm not sure what's out there behind them on the right, but I'm sure it's not whatever was there. Or just move it around so you have their attention. You've asked them maybe whether you can take your picture.
Right.
And you can move them around a little bit, and you just get rid of all this stuff that's going on in the background.
Yeah. The cars, I actually darkened that car up on the right but that's a street behind it, and cars were just continuously. It's like there's a circle around the park.
Yeah.
They just continuously circle.
Well, it's just something to think about, your framing of
Yeah.
your pictures. I mean, they're interesting enough. You don't need anything in the background.
Yeah.
Now, am I correct that this one had blue on her face?
Yes. She was painted.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And this whole park is full of people like this?
No. No, it wasn't all these people. I would have thought it was some kind of party or something if that was the case, but no, they were probably the more different of the crowd.
Yes, I think they probably. So you didn't ask them why they were dressed like this or anything?
I didn't.
That's the other part of, making the picture interesting, is to try and get, and particularly if they're willing to talk.
Yeah.
Just to get a little bit of story about what this is all about.
Yeah.
Why you dressed up like this, and it really brings the picture alive to the viewer.
Yeah.
I would love to know how these two got to be dressed like that, and what this outfit was.
Or some ritual or something.
Well, it is. I would hope so. I don't dress like this all the time, but never know. But it is an opportunity to not only bring the people you're taking the picture of, make them part of the process.
Yeah.
But it's also for you to gain information, so that when you do your little story about why you did this picture, it makes it far more interesting to say these two belong to a Alpha Gamma Beta, and they got to dress up like this because they're new and they're going through initiation.
Right. I agree. I wish I would have gotten more information. I thought about it after the fact and they were gone.
Yeah. And that's the problem with these opportunity shots, is that you get so into the shot that you forget about the shot.
Yeah.
And as they're going the other way, and you're doing your preening, and you're looking at in your little body review there, you think, God, I should ask them this, or I should have done that, or you've taken off the tops of their heads and they're gone.
Right.
So that's wrong. These ones are always, you can't plan them, and they happen, but you can plan what you're going to do when they do happen, because you can take what happened in this one and then bring it forward.
Right. Yeah.
You do it, because it will be so much more interesting to know why they were like this. I
agree, and I also thought about getting contact information so I could send it to them or post it somewhere for them. But
that's a great way. I mean, it's like everything else. You got to be careful with what you're doing. But if you feel comfortable with that,
right?
That's a reward. Everybody likes to see their picture.
Yeah.
Whether you're showing them, did they look at the picture when you took it?
No, they didn't.
And that's another thing that's a great way to get
them to talk.
Yeah, and feeling comfortable is just to show them the picture that you took.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of uncomfortable with the situation to begin with, but it was more of a first time for me to do street photography.
Well, yeah, and it's always. I mean, I don't think anybody. Well, there certainly are people who are perfectly fearless going up and sticking a camera in somebody's face and taking a picture.
Yeah.
To me, it's not the most natural thing in the world to do, but I do find it's a lot easier when you have a big opening, like, what are those horns for? To start a conversation. Tattoos are a great one.
Yeah.
Tats. Everybody wants to show you their tats, and that's a great way to get a conversation going.
Yeah.
And it just draws them in and gives them, you're celebrating the subject, and that's sort of what street photography is supposed to be about. I think celebrating the people you're taking the pictures of. So it's a good start, and what you have in this is the takeaways from it, what you learned.
Yes, definitely.
And it's some of these things you can't. I mean, it's nice to say move them around, but it's not always easy. It's sort of like herding cats. You just have to take what you have,
right,
and move on with it. But definitely any information you can add beyond the picture, because it just begs. I mean, it just screams what's going on. So that's the takeaway from this one. I think that use the opportunity to know, once you've engaged them, then that barrier is sort of gone, and I'm sure that they would love to tell you what they're doing.
Yeah, they probably would have.
So as far as touching it up, and you can go through and do a whole bunch of stuff with it, but I don't think it. I mean, this is probably one where you want to do Vince's 5-minute thing to it and see what you come up with at the other end.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're done with that one, and we need to go to the last one. I like this picture. This is a nice picture.
Thank you.
So is this another daughter?
Yes, this is my youngest, Emily. We have a little hill across the street, and I guess this was probably the second snow we had this year. We don't have much though here in Memphis, and so she and a friend took off to go try to snowboard down the hill. It was her very first time doing it, and the dog just happened to follow us out of the yard, and so she just wanted to get in the middle of it and participate.
So is that your dog too?
Yeah, that's my dog.
Okay.
One of my dogs. Got a zoo here.
I know the story. And you all love them all like another kid.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you looked at the before of this one, but there was a big branch on the ground behind Emily's feet that was distracting, and I took that out.
Great.
Kind of took down the brightness on the house and the roof.
Okay. I think that in this case, it's like all other ones. It would be nice if you got her eyes.
Yeah.
Up a little. And the same with the dog. If you have the two of them in there, if you get them looking sort of at you.
Right.
Because she's looking down at something, and again, it begs the question, what is it? Where if she's looking out in the front here, we kind of get I would get the impression that she's, tobogganing or going to run down there or roll down there or whatever she's going to do.
Right. Yeah.
I think the again, maybe we could work a little bit on the colors and things, so maybe to make it pop a little bit more.
Now, the one thing that I had a hard time with was the haloing effect around her legs and then around the dog. It seemed when I went in and darkened the background and took out the branch, it kind of left a halo around her legs, kind of like she's glowing.
Let's see what we did here. When you do this I think probably you could do it in Lightroom, but if you don't hold on the Alt and adjust your white and black, green goes black, and as you move towards your white, it will show you where that's the brightest part of the picture right there.
Yeah.
And come back and just stop it a little bit. And the same with the black. And we'll just open this picture up. And I don't think this one needs much more of anything. It doesn't need any cropping or anything. I think it's just maybe we just try sharpening it and see what happens there.
Okay.
And again, I like to use the high pass.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody use the high pass.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I know, is it David or Curtis? Curtis mentioned it. I've never seen anybody actually do it until you demonstrated it.
Even at that, I don't see a lot of haloing around anything.
Yeah.
Where you see it it's in the trees up here. So you pull it back down, and I usually take it down like 40 or 50, something like that.
Yeah.
You really see it on her. See where it pops everything out?
Yeah.
And on the dog's fur.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't do anything more to this. It's just, it's. I guess you could try lightening up. Is the dog darker or is he lighter?
She's lighter. She's a blonde.
So you could probably put a. You put one on. Put a mask on there. take your paintbrush, black, opacity. Bring a little bit of that back through. The only trouble with when you do that is you lose the sharpness in it. So let's not do that. Do you know what we're doing here?
I can't say that I do.
Okay, so we have the top layer is a sharpened layer in this case.
Right.
And the bottom layer is always here. So it's always there. So you put this mask on, and that by clicking this little camera down here, it puts a mask on. So if I go up here, I'm going to delete this one. And as long as this is highlighted, and this little camera down here, you click on that.
Yep.
And then you take a paintbrush, and black will punch through and white doesn't. So you get the make sure you're on the mask, and then you just paint it, and it punches a hole through to the layer below it.
Okay.
And you can do that with anything. Anything any layer anything you do on the top layer, you can put a mask on it and then punch through. So it's good for doing. It's good for doing a lot of things. That's one of the basic things you want to learn to do is masking.
Yeah.
And that's a quick way to do it, to take stuff on and put it back off again.
All right.
I think that maybe the only other thing, just try maybe a little more brightness here. Just a touch. That's a nice picture. I like that picture.
Thank you. I felt pretty good about it. It was with the snow, and I was shooting on manual, so I was kind of happy with myself.
Yeah, you kept the detail. You didn't blow everything out. Like I said, just a matter of it would be nice. I mean, it's always would be nice the next time.
Yeah, to get her to look.
In the real world, and the problem there is when you get her to look, you've lost that spontaneity.
Right.
Say, hey, look over here, and then it's gone. So,
yeah.
These are. I think it's good that the dog and her are looking the same way because it's kind of the interaction between the dog. I
right.
say that she's talking to the dog, or the dog's talking to her, one or the other. But it's a pretty cool picture. I think you did a good job on this one.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that's it. Our three pictures, and we got them all done.
Oh, that wasn't so bad.
No, it wasn't so bad. It never is so bad. So I hope you've gotten some things that you've taken away from this.
I have definitely.
And I'm going to stop sharing.
I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah, there's just some things to take your. What sharpening are you using?
I was using it was in Photoshop. The little triangle tool.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one for drops, water drops,
leaves and flowers and stuff.
Don't use too much of it.
Okay.
It's strictly a spot sharpening because we'll get that. It will pixelate like crazy.
All right.
When you're sharpening, that's a localized sharpening. So if you have your flower with your water droplets on it. Mm-hmm. You've done a universal sharpen on it, and now you want to go in and do, two hits, two taps on each one of the little waterlets.
Yeah.
Bring those out, but there again, it's one of those things where you have to be really careful because too much of a good thing can be really bad for you.
Yeah. So when you say overall, do you mean run the high pass?
Run whatever you're going to run.
Okay.
You need to. There are some good ones here. We've got a few minutes. Vince is on at 9. So there's a whole bunch of different ones you can use to do it, but in the sharpening itself, so always do the sharpening should be the last thing you do.
The last
thing you do, yes.
Really?
So when you do your resizing, you sharpen on the resized image. So don't open it up and when you're at 5,000 by 3,000
Yeah.
and sharpen, and then reduce it to 1024 by 768. You want to reduce it and then do the sharpening on it.
Okay.
And make sure you do your sharpening on a separate layer.
Yep.
I'll make a separate layer just in case. So filters, sharpen, and then these are all good ones. Smart Sharpen is good. They have an unsharpened mask here that you can use, and you just move it along.
I can't see one.
Oh, where am I? Didn't I share? What did I do here? Can you see it now?
Yep, now I can see it.
Okay, so this gives you the radius and all that sort of stuff. I think most of the time I just leave the radius down, fairly low, and then move this thing around until you start to see some haloing. So that's one. They have the shake reduction. This is supposed to, if you go into an area, it will do a reduction of the camera shake in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good for the where you see the examples are in like waterfalls where they've got water running.
Right.
And it's blurry. I've never exactly found it to be all that sensational myself, but maybe that's because most of the time the pictures are fairly clear to start with. Let's see that haloed.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see every strand in the blonde's hair too.
Well, that's not bad.
Really?
That my former master would go nuts over having all that. But I mean, that's what you see. That's a detail that to me is a positive. The ones that are negative is like right. You see that bend right there?
Yeah.
And all along here.
Right. Yeah.
See it down here.
Mm-hmm.
You won't see it too much on her because the white on the
the contrast
here is bad. So that didn't work. That didn't work very well. But don't just you're using this one that's over here, right?
Right. Yeah, the sharpen tool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great for just the. But you can really mess it up.
Yeah.
So if you want to pixelate something, just put it on there and
sharpen it up.
And really do a job on it.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
So it's just something to be aware of.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we came onto that with a lot of things. I think we'll stop that. I think we're going to stop the broadcasting, and we'll have a little chat here. And,
okay.
You did well. You move on to the next level. We'll get you rocketing through that one.
Finally.
I'm not sure whether we're going to go. I'll talk to you here in just a second. I'm going to stop broadcasting. Thanks a lot.